up and getting ready. In the house he shares with 7 strangers, his room a makeshift space carved out next to the kitchen. Teddy Baraqui, a social work student in his native Bolivia, came to London to learn English and says he's ended up trapped in the low-wage world of cleaning work.
Ni siquiera pregunté cuánto me iban a pagar por hora porque me imaginaba que iba a ser un salario normal que te alcance para vivir, pero cuando recibí el primer salario solamente me alcanzaba para pagar una habitación.
Teddy initially worked full-time on the national minimum wage, but said he simply couldn't survive, so had to look for a second job.
Me sentí horrendo, me sentí atrapado en una cárcel. No la cultura o el mundo cleaner, hablemos directamente, o el mundo cleaner te ha metido tanto miedo que no puedes decir, oye, no puedo vivir con esto, estoy viviendo realmente mal.
Teddy decided he would speak out. With his union, he fought for the London living wage at both his workplaces. Within days of winning it at his full-time job, he was told the number of cleaners at that location had to be cut by 1 person. His second job, in the evening, was with the service company Regent Samsic. One day, his manager called him and other cleaners to a meeting about staffing. A week later, this happened.
I have to release one of you. I have to give you I'm going to give you one of you 3 notice tonight. So now I don't know if anyone wants to volunteer.
Teddy was dismissed from the job, his name seemingly picked out at random.
I don't feel I can sit here and say, right, I'd like to go, or I'd like you to go. Yeah. So I'm going to sit here and I think the fairest way for me is just to put the names as I described to you before, and just whoever's name comes out is the person. Right, I'm going to pick a name out. Teddy.
As the conversation becomes heated, the Regent Samsic manager defends the process.
O sea, que él decidió mi futuro en un juego.
You say you decide his future.
Eso no es legal. Eso no es legal.
It's not a game. No.
It's a game.
It's not a game.
It's a game.
You check. Am I laughing?
Check.
No.
999.
Am I laughing? No, I'm not.
It's a game.
I understand you're upset, and I'll give you that, but don't ever think I'm being disrespectful to you, because I'm not.
Yo pensaba que no iba a llegar hasta ese punto, pero el tipo, la persona esta lo hizo. Cogió mi nombre en un papel, me dijo, tú te vas fuera. Como una lotería, estás hablando del futuro de las personas, estás hablando de mi alquiler, de mi comida. Y he conocido muchos managers, ya sé cómo son, ya los tengo.
We asked an employment lawyer to look at the footage.
Well, it's the most bizarre thing that I've seen in my 20 years as an employment lawyer, to essentially stick a name in a hat and pick a name out of it with no real reasons being given as to why that's happening and why that name's been picked, appears to me to be essentially unlawful. On what I've seen, it's an unfair dismissal, very much like a Victorian workhouse, where you have a master picking out a name of the servant that's going to be let go.
Relics, whose office space Teddy Baraqui was cleaning while working for Regent Samsic, issued this statement. Relics Group is deeply concerned by Regent Samsic's treatment of Teddy Baraqui, whom Regent Samsic employed as a cleaner at one of our London offices. We were not involved in any employment decisions. We apologise to Mr Baraqui and have asked the contractor Regent Samsic to reconsider its decision. Though Relics say they insist all contractors providing services in the capital pay the London living wage, they acknowledge that this year they asked contractors to cut costs by 3%. Teddy Baraqui's union say they're increasingly seeing cases of jobs being cut once the living wage has been agreed.
Very often we'll find a company will agree to pay the living wage, which seems like a victory, and then later on, shortly afterwards, they'll want to renegotiate the terms or conditions to save the money elsewhere.
Regent Samsic, Teddy Baraqui's employer, insisted in a statement he'd been dealt with fairly. With regards to our former employee, Mr Baraqui, we followed all the necessary due process in accordance with employee rights and within the letter of the law, and he was paid all monies he was legally owed. We are currently further reviewing the steps we followed it would be inappropriate for us to comment further. Regent Samsic are accredited by the Living Wage Foundation. The foundation say they expect accredited companies to adhere to employment law as a minimum requirement and to due process with dismissals. They're now in talks with all parties involved in Teddy Barakwi's case. Across the capital and the country, say the union, there are many cleaners like Teddy Barakwi, on low pay, with few rights. They say it's time for change.
Think about it when you sit down at your desk and the waste paper basket's been emptied and the sandwich wrappers that you didn't bother to throw away are gone and cleared up. A human being did that.
Y que si hay personas trabajando allí, que abran un poco los ojos, la mirada, y vean si las personas que no ven ellos tienen normales condiciones de vida y de trabajo, porque están trabajando en tu mismo edificio. No están trabajando en la calle o debajo de un puente, están en tu edificio.
Teddy Barakwi says he is now planning to take his case to a tribunal.
Jackie Long reporting. Well, I'm joined now by the Conservative MP Rachel McLean from the Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy Committee and Catherine Pearson, who is the manager of Clean for Good, a company that aims to provide a fairer deal for its cleaners. Rachel McLean, I mean, it's quite clear the company is signed up to living wage and is approved as such, and yet is clearly maltreating its employees.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's an extraordinary story and clearly shocking the way that this employer has treated these people. And there should be no reason for it. It's certainly not condoned in employment law in this country.
But your Taylor report that the Conservative Party had as a review of modern working practices was supposed to offer the biggest reset for this kind of work ever known. It hasn't happened, has it?
Well, let's look at where we are with it. So Matthew Taylor has just produced the report, and in the committee that I'm part of, we have taken evidence from him and also a number of other employers. So we're now working in the committee to look at those recommendations and then bring forward to the government what we think should be done. So that there are a number of things that we are looking at, because clearly nobody wants to see this kind of thing going on in our biggest city.
What would you be telling the government?
To look at how we can be enforcing the employment law better and being able to give access to people like Teddy so that he can actually know his rights.
But you see, when a company like this says, look, we're paying their living
Yes,
wage,
yes.
They can now eat, but it's clearly not enough.
No. So in terms of what we do with Clean for Good, we pay the London living wage, but we also have processes and systems in place that treat our cleaners fairly, so they know how to escalate concerns that they might have, and we advocate for them on behalf of the client that they're working for, that they're cleaning.
The difficulty surely is that these sort of companies are indeed having to raise the wages, rightly, and the rest of it, but of course people are losing their jobs to pay for it, and in fact the people who are left are working even harder than they're working already.
Well, clearly that isn't where we want to be as a country. And Catherine is an example of an employer who is doing the right thing. And I think what we need to see is people thinking about where their services come from in the same way that they think about the goods and things they buy in the supermarket. So they need to make those purchasing decisions. And you highlighted that in your package. It is also down to the employer that's contracting with that contractor to make sure that they're not actually contracting something that they wouldn't condone themselves in their own business.
The problem, of course, is it's happening at night very often, out of sight. Nobody really knows what's going on. Very often they are foreign workers who really don't know their rights.
But I think it is incumbent on the people paying for that. There is no reason for them not to ask those difficult questions when they award the contract. And it should be within their business model to be able to pay a decent wage for a decent job, even for cleaning.
So you're saying it's not the cleaning company, it's the people who employ them?
It's everybody working together in this supply chain. Clearly, the person at the bottom of the pile, the cleaner in your piece, it's not his fault. He needs to be treated fairly by everybody else who's contracting his services.
Of course, the simplest answer is people should pay more for their cleaners.
Yes, we believe that. We believe that the London living wage is the minimum that cleaners should be getting for the work that they do, that we believe it's a dignified profession and it needs to be respected more than it currently is, and it should be paid for as the valuable service that it provides.
You've had the Taylor review. At what point can we say, the government has now dealt with this?
I think it's an ongoing process because there's clearly a number of issues that were raised in there around the wider gig economy, not just the cleaning economy, but obviously lots of different jobs. And the world of work is changing, as we know. And we don't want to completely remove the flexibility that does work for employers and employees, but we also want to look at how we protect people in this new world of work. I mean, the world of work has changed very fast, and sometimes employment legislation hasn't always kept up. So it's an ongoing dialogue that it is something that's at the top of our agenda in government, and I'm certainly advocating for it.
But you would say that what we have uncovered in this particular case is a one-off, is extraordinary and unusual, or it is very possibly happening very commonly?
I expect it's probably not a one-off, but it might be. I think it's very rare for London Living Wage accredited people to be experiencing this. But in terms of the sector as a whole, there is injustices all the time. And that's, again, why we're in business and doing what we're doing.